Jai Hind everyone. Now, India has kept a very ambitious goal. Now, India aims to become a global manufacturing hub from being an importer of weapons. In this scenario, the government has made up an ambitious goal of achieving 8.8 trillion worth of defense economy by 2047. So this is a strategic vision for the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Moreover, this goal that has been set by the government is extremely an ambitious target. Moreover, the goal has to be achieved in multiple stages. So by and large, it is not just a production goal. It represents India's clear strategic vision to transform itself from being a major defense importer into a global manufacturing powerhouse. Now, today I'll take you through this vision report wherein we will discuss the strategy, the current momentum, and what this will mean to India's future. Now, a report titled Atmanirbhar Agrani and Atulya Bharat 2047 Vision has been showcased by a report that has been brought in by KPMG along with CII. Now, in this report, multiple targets have been set, multiple stages have been set, and everything has been set keeping in mind the demand of the future. The future wars will now be fought on technological superiority, rapid innovation with strong quantity of weapons having a focus on AI, cyber warfare, autonomous systems and space-based defense solutions. Now the Indian government in this situation is aggressively moving towards the goal by opening high-end manufacturing including the ballistic missiles to the private sector. Now modern wars begin at a very short notice. And when they begin, they are through trigger incidents like what happened in the case of Operation Sindoor. And in such situations, systems will be penetrated and missiles and drones will be launched without any notice. Now, in this scenario, the Atmanirbharta is the only way to sail through these processes. Now, in this situation, Operation Sindoor and later, more elaborate analysis of the Middle East war gives us a clear vision to set a focus upon what works. The command and control network, the air bases, the air defense systems, missile infrastructure, defense industrial and manufacturing hubs, the R&D centers and the electronic hubs, which were once considered rear areas, are now being targeted as the frontline targets. The logic is if a country cannot produce, repair or communicate, it cannot fight a weapon. A country, it cannot fight a battle. A country cannot solely depend upon the other friendly nations because in any situation the logistic lines can be cut. Now, modern kill chains are no longer linear. They are all AI assisted, data driven, and are continuously adaptive in nature. So, the most important and the underappreciated fact is that dimension is not physical but more of psychological. Modern conflict is increasingly fought in the cognitive domain. Informative discipline, societal cohesion, and the narrative stability are no less important. So in this situation, what the government is aspiring to achieve by 2047 will help India become a global power. And this is something that will only help the country to sustain any battle or to even sustain the confidence upon itself. Now, when we talk about this big target, the government is targeting defense production to 8.8 lakh crore, which is currently at 1.46 lakh crore. So growth is approximately 6 times. Okay. Next, the defense exports are being targeted at 2.8 lakh crore, which are currently at 24,000 crore. So herein the government has set an ambitious target of 12 times. Okay. Next comes the defense budget is targeted to reach 31.7 lakh crore, which currently stands at 6.81 lakh crore. And finally, the R&D share of the budget must be achieved 8 to 10%, which is presently standing somewhere close to 4%. So this is a very clear statement of intent. India now wants to become one of the world's top defense manufacturer and exporter by the time we celebrate 100 years of independence. Okay, so by 100 years of Indian independence, we must be a global power and we must be way ahead of countries. Okay, now in this scenario, what are the key pillars of this strategy? Okay, now the key pillars of this strategy, now this ambitious target is presently resting upon four strong pillars. Okay, first and foremost is indigenous manufacturing. Okay, so this indigenous manufacturing, so we have to develop platforms like Tejas, AMCA, INS Vishal, and the next generation tanks, the Zorawar tanks, the FMBTs. Okay, and this is something that we have been globally looking onto other countries, and we are deeply investing into these technologies. Okay, next is the private sector partnership. Okay, so private sector partnership, that is, we have recently seen that involving companies like L&T, Tata, Bharat Forge, and numerous startups in drones and AI. Now, this is something that gives us diversification. Okay. Next is the AI and the emerging technologies. Okay, so they are the most important weapon for the future warfare. And finally, the export push. Okay, now BrahMos is being given to Philippines and Vietnam and 80 plus countries. Okay, so these pillars, they form the foundation of India's defense transformation. Okay, moreover, all of these things along with the military modernization or more investment into R&D will anytime help us to achieve our goal quite early. Okay, next, when we talk about the current progress, okay, so current production growth is steady, which may rise to 1.54 lakh crore. Okay, in this financial year 2025, private sector share 22.56% of total defense production. Okay, which translates to 33, almost 34,000 crores. Okay, the export surge, okay, that is 38,000 crores in financial 2026, which is up 26% on year basis. Okay, moreover, the policy support, okay, the defense procurement policies, okay, that are being changed. Okay, so these are few things which are allowing the private partners to be part of this process quite easily. Okay, along with this, the defense corridors in UP, okay, and Tamil Nadu, okay, will something that makes these things more attractive. Okay, this is something that is attracting massive investment and have signed hundreds of MOUs around the same. Clear? So, with this momentum, we'll be able to see the 2047 vision is not just aspirational, it is already in motion. Okay, now there have been some strategic implications. Okay, now this 8.8 lakh crore target, okay, has got far reaching implications. Now this is something that will actually help in nation building through defense capabilities. Okay, herein we will see self-reliance. Okay, so we will reduce import dependency, especially critical subsystems, economic growth, lacks of high-skilled jobs, boost to GDP through multiplier effect, strategic autonomy, stronger deterrence, diplomatic leverage, freedom from foreign supply chains, and our global position. So, India will emerge as a leading defense manufacturer and exporter by 2047, serving around 80 plus countries. So, this is something that will strengthen our strategic economy. Now, giving India greater freedom in decision making. Moreover, if we achieve our targets, okay, we will get a higher leverage in all diplomatic decisions. Okay, this will give India greater freedom in foreign policy and also in military operations. Okay, and the other reasons that it will boost the jobs. Okay, it will encourage self-reliance and reduce dependence upon the foreign suppliers. Okay, so more interestingly, this thing does not have implications only upon our defense. It will overall boost the economic capability of our country through the defense capability. So this is indeed a nation building step that has been taken. Now in this process, in this vision, the self-reliance, enhancing self-reliance in defense capabilities shall have to be achieved by 2032. So we have to reduce import dependency by investing in indigenous research and development, expanding domestic manufacturing and fostering innovations. We have to become a global exporter by 2038. So this policy aims to position India amongst the top 5 global defense exporters by expanding international partnerships, meeting global standards, and vigorously promoting Indian defense products in international markets. And we have been able to do so quite well. We have been able to position us quite well in this starting itself. Lastly, achieving the global leadership in critical niche technologies by 2045. So, to position India as a world leader in niche defense technologies, we have to foster industry, academia, government collaboration, and investing in the next gen technologies. Okay. So, one thing that we have understood is that the journey, okay, is not without challenges. There are key gaps that remain in critical technologies like the jet engines, okay, semiconductors, and the stealth systems also. So, scaling up private sector capabilities and developing high specialized manpower is something that is also required, and we need to talk about this. Now, to overcome all of these things, India has to aggressively focus upon the R&D investment. We have to focus upon the smart international collaborations with strong intellectual property protection. Okay, faster policy execution and maintaining the highest standards of quality and delivery. So, with these consistent things, these challenges are surmountable. Okay, so for achieving these strategic capabilities, we require 6 pillars of capability development, and as discussed, first is the R&D and innovation. Now this is something that will boost essentially the innovation framework, and it will drive breakthrough to the technologies. Talent and skill development. Now this is something that can be done, okay, with smart international collaborations. Okay, we need strong intellectual property protection. That is something that can help us retain the brighter minds into the country itself. Developing defense production capabilities. Okay, so we have to support development of domestic production capabilities, and the government has already introduced various initiatives and policy, and the public-private partnerships, as recently we have seen in the case of AMCA development, are a positive boost to this. Okay, then regulatory and procedural reforms. Now, simplified regulatory reforms have to be there. Okay, previously, even though we have seen many startups venturing into the defense sector, but simultaneously, this is something we should not be very proud of, because previously there have been multiple private companies, multiple startups that have also retracted initially after entering this phase. Okay, next is strategic partnerships and collaboration. So we have to deepen international collaborations with advanced countries like the US, Israel, Japan, and the European nations. Even though the MOUs, even though the free trade agreements have already been in place. Okay, lastly, infrastructure. We have to expand the world-class testing, simulations, and certification facilities for the emerging technologies. Okay, so lastly, to conclude this vision of 8.8 lakh crore defense economy by 2047, it sounds bold, ambitious, and achievable. Now, India marks its historic journey from being a major importer to become a global defense manufacturer. Okay, so the ultimate goal is central to Atmanirbhar Bharat, and this will play a decisive role in securing India's future as a strong and a self-reliant country. So, final message through this report, final message through this vision is that by 2047, India will not just defend itself. India will be a major exporter of defense equipments and defense capabilities throughout the world. Okay, and this is something that must be achieved, and all of these timelines must be targeted, and we must make sure that country encourages all sorts of R&D and participation that will also infuse diversification in this road to become self-reliant by 2047. Okay, so I hope all of you would have felt pride in this ambition that has been set up by the government. Okay, moreover, now the way forwards to all of these things is, okay, as previously discussed, there have to be challenges that have to be met. Okay, mostly technological gaps have to be met. We have to scale up private sector capabilities and infrastructure. So STEM network, STEM workforce that is existing, and government has been heavily investing into these STEM systems, but they have to make some change on the ground. Okay, there have to be hand holding, not just in the initial training process, but in the entrepreneurial mindset that is also being cultivated through these processes, through these systems. Now, the way forward is aggressive R&D as discussed, international collaborations with developed countries, and the intellectual property has to be secured. Finally, faster policy execution and focus on quality, timely delivery, and global certification standards. Clear? So, this is the way forward that will help us achieve this positive and very much a realistic goal. Okay. Moreover, all of these things are the only way to tackle a sustainable warfare. Okay, to tackle a sustainable diplomatic cohesion or an influence that builds upon us in case we are dependent upon other countries. Okay, so this is something that this allocation on R&D must be increased. Okay, this final report, it also observes that in achieving the vision of Bharat as a developed nation by 2047, there has to be a strengthened defense sector. Okay, no matter, we will have to face some challenges, but we have to promote a very robust public-private partnership, which is necessary to incentivize and encourage the private sector enter into this and sustain this manufacturing, the defense manufacturing domain. Okay. Moreover, all of these targets that have been set are achievable, but we must work full throttle towards achieving them timely. Okay. So, this was all from my side today. Please do let me know what all are your views. Moreover, in case you are also preparing for Civil Services Exam 27 and 28 examination, so the last date for enrolling in the batches is 10th of June. Okay, the GS Foundation batches are now available in English language and based upon the SMART model, which includes structured classes, mentorship, assessment, revision, and test. Okay, the courses are priced as per your convenience. The courses are starting at rupees 11,999. Moreover, you can use the code SRM Live to avail maximum discount and the best prices for this batch. Okay, so this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session. Jai Hind.